skull I have explained in the previous video. How do you hold the fetal skull? You have this foramen magnum. Put your little finger or the middle finger in the foramen magnum and negotiate it like this. Now, as I have already told you in the previous video, this is occiput. So, the common mechanism is occipitoanterior. Occiput will be anterior, and this is what? Occipitolateral. Alright? So, occiput is facing anterior. This is what? Left occipitoanterior, because this is the maternal left. This is right occipitoanterior. Imagine if it's occipitoposterior. It will be like this. Occiput is posterior. So, what is the mechanism of labor in a normal left occipitoanterior position? What happens? Engagement happens to the largest transverse diameter, which is the biparietal diameter. It engages, although it's not of the correct size, but just for the sake of it, it engages. After engagement, what happens? Descent. Descent is a continuous process because of the contraction of the pelvic floor muscles and the uterus. Engagement, descent. Now flexion. The baby flexes like this. Why? Because if you read in Datta, there is the two-arm lever theory. Because if this is the spinal cord is not attached exactly at the middle. It creates a fulcrum for flexion to happen. And there's the law of unequal flexibility by Salem and Moyer, which means that different parts of the body have unequal amounts of flexion. So flexion happens, engagement, descent, flexion. Then we have a process known as internal rotation. Whenever the presenting part, okay, touches the pelvic floor muscles. The rule of the pelvic floor muscle nature is whatever touches it, it moves inwards and medially. Now why is this? Because here we have the levator ani muscle. Imagine this is the levator ani, and the direction of the levator ani is downwards, backwards and forwards. Okay, so whatever touches it will turn inwards and medially. What is this rule known as, or law known as? Very good, this is known as Hart's rule or Hart's law. Okay, now internal rotation has happened. What is the next step? Crowning. Crowning is when the vulval orifice is stretched by the largest diameter which is present, largest transverse diameter. Alright, now crowning is very important because when crowning happens, it is at this point that we give the episiotomy, and once crowning has formed, it's like a vacuum. In between contractions, the head won't come back. Alright, crowning. Then what happens after internal rotation? Crowning, birth by extension. Then what happens? There is restitution. Now what I missed here is a very important thing. This is during internal rotation. If it's in left occipito, what? Anterior position, it will rotate 1/8 of a circle. Now the rule is my neck can't sustain more than 1/8. Now if it's in occipito lateral or transverse position, then what happens? This will move by 2/8 of a circle. My shoulder, as I said, can't sustain more than 1/8, my neck. So when my head is moving 2/8, my shoulder will also move to accommodate this traction. Alright, but if my neck has only moved 1/8, I don't need my shoulders to move. But if it's this much, I can't sustain that stress and I'll move like this. Alright. Now, when birth by extension, restitution is what? Basically untwisting. Untwisting of the torsion that has happened on the neck. Now, if my neck has rotated 1/8 of a circle, it will again go back to its original position. And this will be seen as what is known as external rotation. External rotation of the head corresponds to internal rotation of the shoulder. This is the basic concept which you have to be clear about. And what is this? Birth by, delivery by extension and birth. Alright? Absolutely clear? No more doubts?